Terra's Story, Chapter 42. As soon as the door clicked shut behind them, Joni and Brian dropped everything on the floor and fell into each other's arms. Joni trembled and sniffled against his chest when Brian's arms tightened around her. He held her so close they could feel each other's hearts beating, he trembling slightly, too. After several long, comforting minutes, they separated enough to see into each other's eyes. Brian ran his thumbs beneath her eyes to wipe away the traces of tears. "Yeah, these kinds of experiences warp your whole reality, don't they?" He spoke for both of them. Joni agreed. "Yeah, they sure destroy the notion that any of us has much control over our lives." She walked over to the sofa and flopped down. "On the one hand, they expand your perception of reality. On the other," Brian scrubbed his face in fatigue, then picked up where Joni left off. "On the other hand, in an expanded reality, you feel smaller. Maybe that's the point, you think, sweetheart?" Joni patted his hand. "That's true, and it's also true that when you break out of the box of third-dimensional reality, you you remember that you're bigger and more powerful than your normal reality. That's the point of spiritual work, isn't it? To reclaim the God spark you've always had and incorporate it into this reality?" "Yeah, I know you're right. But right now, sweetheart, my God spark feels like a barely there flicker," she laughed. "Mine too, Brian. But I feel a need to wash the grime and the dense energies off this tired body. I'll sleep better, and you will too. Shall we?" She made herself stand and held out her hand. He took it and stood to follow her down the hall to the bathroom. When they reached the door, they stopped and grinned at each other. Joni glanced wistfully at the huge jacuzzi tub, but shook her head. "I don't have the energy tonight. I wouldn't be able to climb out after." But she had no hesitation in peeling off her clothes and walking right into the large open shower stall with the gigantic rain shower head and the reflective glaze on the navy blue tiles. She twisted the knobs to start the water flow, stepping out of the way until steam started to rise, then stepping beneath the fall. She lifted her face to the stream, then ducked her head so it could run all over her hair and down her body. Brian laughed as she blew raspberries, moaned and wriggled around in bliss, then stepped under the huge stream of water as well. He rotated his shoulders and twisted his neck side to side to release the tension, then rolled his shoulders again. She saw him wince and try to reach a spot behind his right shoulder that clearly hurt. "What's this, hon?" she asked as she stepped behind him and opened her etheric sight. That's what's going on." She reached up and yanked out an energetic blade, then several darts. She ran her gaze over his back and located the energetic imprint of a sword stuck near his spine behind his solar plexus. She grasped it with both hands and pulled. He grunted. After clearing these energetic intrusions in his field, she ran her hands over his back about 2 inches away from his skin to smooth his aura and restore the flow of his energy. He turned to face her, startled, rolling his shoulders again to test the difference. "Wow, love, that is so much better. I didn't realize—" Joni smiled. "I know, and these things are hard to see on yourself, even harder to remove. But we get them all the time. Everybody does. And often the people who throw them don't realize that mean thoughts or hateful words are truly energetic weapons that affect whoever is the target at the moment. Well, most people don't." He turned her around and softened his focus to scan her back as well. "I see what you mean," he commented as he pulled an energetic arrow from beneath her left shoulder blade. He also pulled a cluster of darts from the small of her back, and when he smoothed her field, she sighed in relief. "You learn quick, love. Thank you." She turned to face him. "Do you know how to clean out your chakras? You should do this every time you shower so they don't get all sludgy and slow down their spin. Watch me and do the same." Joni started at her root chakra, 2 inches above her pubic bone, spinning it counterclockwise with a couple of fingers, then running her straight palm outward to clear energetic debris. She held her hand under the water to wash it off, then did the same with her sacral chakra, 4 fingers below her belly button. Brian watched closely and imitated her movements. In that way, they worked their way up their body to each chakra: solar plexus, heart, throat, third eye, crown, spinning it backward from its normal rotation, clearing it, then washing off the sludge. Once Joni cleared her 8th chakra above her head, she returned to the root chakra, this time returning it to its normal clockwise spin, then did the same with all the others. "Feel the difference?" she asked. "They spin faster when they're clean, which means your whole field can work better." I think so. I'm not sure. It's subtle, but yes, I think I feel lighter." His forehead creased with his concentration. She smiled. "That's okay. It's working whether you feel it or not. It took me a while before I could tell the difference, but now it's like brushing my teeth. I feel icky if I don't." She stepped close enough to put her arms around him and pull him close, sighing with pleasure. "I love the feel of wet skin, but then," she chuckled ruefully, "I just love the feel of skin." "Anybody's skin?" he asked, raising his brows. "I wouldn't know," she smirked. "I don't let just anybody get that close. In fact," she murmured as she stood on tiptoe to kiss him, "I've not had wet skin contact. Well, this is the first time, Brian. You're my first." They laughed and ducked their heads to let the water wash over them both, wriggling and teasing while steam hovered around them. They seemed to reach the same point of completion, or was it energy depletion, at the same time. Joni had stepped back and stumbled slightly before he caught her. "I'm thinking I better get horizontal in the bed before I wind up horizontal on these tiles," she murmured, one hand on the wall to stabilize herself. He turned off the water and reached for the fluffy bath sheet on the nearby hook, wrapped it around her, then grabbed the other for himself. "Meet you there, sweetheart." He dried himself off thoroughly, brushed his teeth, and made his way to the bed where Joni was already snoring lightly. He stepped over the damp towel on the floor and slid in behind her so he could pull her close in a comforting spoon position. She squirmed against him for half a second before falling back asleep, and in another half a second he had joined her in the dream time.